got hurt by both these guys.
No, the other way around now.
At different times.
What do you mean?
He blew out my knee in wrestling camp, and he about dislocated my jaw with a clothesline in Atlanta. So that's our first experience of meeting each other. Oh, Barry and I have known each other right out of high school.
You knew right away when you watched the Road Warriors on TV, it was they're going to destroy their opponents. That's what the TV matches were.
Hey, you should have seen the look on Hawk and I's face when we sat there with Ole Anderson, and we're with all the guys on TV, all the job guys. And he goes, "Hey, these guys are going to beat you up, and you're going to like it." And he goes, "And if you don't beat them up, you're fired." We're going.
You see the Road Warriors name on the board, and there was no other names in there, and everybody at TV would be going, "Oh God, please don't put me with those guys." And their names would go up there, and everybody just kind of go, "Oh."
We went to Vince's house. We did the whole thing with the Chinese cook. He had everything, made us dinner and the whole works, and offers a deal, and it wasn't a guaranteed deal. We had a guaranteed deal with Crockett, and we went with Crockett. And then shortly after that, he had Demolition.
They had their style. We had our style. Then you have the Powers of Pain. And the more you talk about these things, the poor Powers of Pain get blamed from copying both games.
they do.
And they really didn't, you know. Like Joe said, it's timing.
Well, yeah, and then the Ultimate Warrior comes in and he's painting his face, same thing. So it's like, well, what the heck? I went in and had an argument with Crockett because he screwed me, so I quit. So I was actually out of wrestling at the time, and that's when Dave Hebner called me up and said, "Hey, you want to come up and there might be a job opening?" And I said, "Darn right."
We learned more about wrestling from Paul Ellering than anybody. I mean, he literally would sit there with a napkin, draw it out, and draw the four corners of the ring and say, "Okay, Animal, you're here. Hawk, you're here. When Animal does this, Hawk, you do this." And I get people still send me magazine shots with you having me in the rear chilling. Like I was always in the submission with him for some reason. 300 pounds over me. Like I look this big, and there's Barry on top of me.
You know, and then I was so dang excited. I was so dang excited when you guys were coming to New York, because it was all the friends were together now, and they just didn't do anything with it. They just ruined it.
Probably was one of the, if there is a top 10 of travesties in the wrestling business, that's got to be right up there at number 1 or 2.
It was made to not have a good match.
We could have went 2-3 years with that and drawn it out and had great matches, but I get to fly to his house out there in Greenwich, Connecticut, wind through his neighborhood, pull up to his big oval driveway, see 2 Great Danes laying on the lawn. I went to myself and I said, "Holy shit, look at this place." Walk into his living room, and the first thing I see is this big 20-foot painting of Vince in a green suit. A green suit color. I said, "This is freaking great. Look at this painting." I looked at the Hawk. I said, "Look at this thing." And then, then they set us out on the patio.
The one thing that everybody that worked for his father will tell you, if they haven't already, is you knew the day you were going to come in. You knew how much money you were going to make. You knew the day you were leaving, and you knew the day that you were coming back.
We Hawk clotheslined Vince off my shoulders in a club in San Antonio one time.
San Antonio, I was out with them one day too. Stephanie came in with Linda, and Vince says, "This is my daughter. Now, absolutely nobody talks to my daughter, ever dates my daughter, or anything. That's it. Now, Stephanie, you can go." Remember when he said that?
Yeah. Everybody says, "My God, finally it's Flair and Hogan. That's going to be Demolition and Road Warriors." So it was an opportunity for all of us to make a tremendous amount of money.
That's what we thought too. Money. Yeah. Here's money in the bank.
Yeah.
But and it was kind of the same thing with Flair and Hogan. It kind of just...
Yeah,
you would think that that'd be the best thing that ever happened, and it just...
Yeah, I don't think that
because they didn't want
powers that be...
When they came, we were doing the scaffold matches with the Powers of Pain. And they, losers of scaffold matches, you got to jump off. I looked at Terry and Barbarian. I said, "Are you guys going to jump?" Because I know I'm not jumping. If you two jump, there's no ring. Because they would blow up, right? And then what do you have to gimmick the ring for that to blow up? And they came to me one day and they said, "Joe, we're really thinking about going to New York." And I said, "Go, man. You'll have a great run with Demolition. Go ahead. Go." They're trying, but tag team's been buried for so long. They got great teams. I mean, the Usos are pretty good, Fatu's kids. Demolition could get on you better. For me as a babyface, you guys knew how to get on you to make a babyface fight out. Where, Powers of Pain was more of an even keel I don't know. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just complete. It's every team's different.
Yeah, you got 3 different teams there completely. They just have similarities in their appearances and stuff. They weren't Ric Flair. They weren't,
Yeah.
Rude.
You know what, though? It goes to show you, though, they probably are one of the top teams ever.
One of the best
in
tag teams around.
wrestling, because they can work with anybody.
Anybody.
Midnight Express, too.
Yeah.
That's a very underrated team there, too, Midnight Express.
But Arn and Tully looked vicious at what they were doing
Yeah.
too, and you had to keep up with them
Yeah.
because they made you work.
Yeah, Arn could go.
And then when was time to make a comeback, I mean, they were still flying.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember from the Warrior matches, if you were in the ring against the Warrior, I always felt so sorry for the guys who were in the ring against the Warrior. Like you guys, Hawk and I would meet it back, just shaking our heads. And it wasn't much better when you was your partner.
Well, he
If
beat
you-
you guys
if-
up too, didn't he?
You know, if you was your partner, you might as well just forget about anything else you did in the match because it didn't matter.
Right.
'Cause he was going to come in and do his 3 tackles and
I would say,
Clothesline.
2-foot splash, and it was done.
the word would be unpredictable.
We never hurt each other, and we always respected it. And that's the way almost every match is in this business. And when guys aren't like that, that's the way it's taken care of real quick.
You know, when we were up there, you couldn't do steroids. At least we couldn't. I mean, shoot, we got drug tested at least once a week.
Well, I think we got drug tested more because they knew
We were off.
we weren't on anything. So it's selective hearing.
I mean, every other day you'd come in and, here's a cup and, Nick Bockwinkel would be watching you pissing in a cup, just like, come on, guys, we're clean.
That's the name of the game. If you can make money in this business, I don't care how you make it, as long as you make it. And I think CM Punk was part of the ECW thing, right? If I'm not mistaken, a little
That's
bit.
how he came into.
That's how he came into the WWE. Would have been able to come in? I mean, the question is, would have been able to come in if it wasn't for ECW?
Well, he wasn't part of the original ECW. He was
Well, what
part
I'm
of
saying, if it was in our time, probably not. But then again, that's not what the business was looking for. I think that timing.
He's
like we
perfect
said,
for this business now.
timing. It's timing now that you can have, per se, normal looking guys or normal built guys in wrestling, because that's reality.
I'd like to be on his card.
It's not the money you make. Someone told, I think it was George Scott, it's not the money you make, it's the money you save.
And guys say they just do it and you don't have to pay them and they love it, or ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was the luckiest guy in the world. I mean, being with Ivan Koloff down in Charlotte, he was the greatest partner ever to have. I mean, he really taught me a lot. So when I went from that, then I get partners with Bill and have Mr. Fuji as a manager. I mean, the learning curve was unbelievable. So, by the time I got up with Bill being the Demolition, I mean, that was my highlight.
The only person that's up to is Undertaker.
Right.
I mean, I think Undertaker, with the respect he has for Ultimate Fighting, and I think the respect he has for amateur wrestling, period, and what he thinks Brock has done, I think that was probably the most likely guy for him to end that streak with. So Undertaker loves MMA, and then that looked like the hockey puck your grandson was playing with on a
What
video.
the heck is that? Oh man!
Here.
The dog wouldn't even eat
An
that.
RF video production.
One of the best teams I ever seen though was Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Great.
And teams, and even Blackjack and Lanza and Mulligan.
Yeah, and then the Armstrongs.
And the Valiants.
Yeah, there's so many of them. You can't pick the
I mean,
best one.
we were kind of joking around about that on the way over here a little bit. Probably 2 of the best teams that WWE has ever had, and we get asked to do nothing by the company. No fan fest,
Is
no
there,
nothing.
Is there a reason for that?
I have no idea. None. Because this is the wrestling business. If there's going to be anybody that's never said they haven't gotten a discussion with the boss, they're lying.
Well, I think nice guys finish last. I really
a
believe
lot of times too.
I really believe
Hey,
that.
most of the guys that get 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th chances have told the boss to go screw himself, then they're back the next week. Or a year later
Yeah.
they're there. The guys that don't rock the boat never go back.